All right, Memo Podcast, a very special episode of the Memo Podcast. We're going to do things a little bit different. As 2019 comes to a close, we are going to have ourselves a year-end awards. So the Memo Podcast year-end awards here. We have a bunch of categories, you know what I'm saying? We have what's the best, what's the worst, what's up and coming.
And these are also our opinions. So y'all's opinion do not matter.
Yeah, our opinions is the only one that matters, so...
And we're not really going off, I don't think we're really going much off like record sales or anything. I think we're just eliminating them as we go.
I think there is a little bit of record sales that goes into it, but to be honest, it's just our enjoyment.
Like some albums we probably definitely left out that we're not thinking of, or, you know, that we didn't listen to, so we can't speak on them.
Exactly. So,
should we do some honorable mentions for some that aren't listed on here?
Well, to be fair, if they weren't listed on there, then they weren't honorable enough to mention.
You're right.
But like I said, we're gonna go through the worst of 2019, the best of 2019. We're gonna start the new year off right, because this might be the last time y'all hear us in 2019. So we're gonna make sure it's right. So
we're gonna start it with a
That's
cheers.
right.
Should we jump straight into it?
Yeah, go ahead. What's the first nominee? Or the first category, I mean.
Alright, so first off, we're going underrated album of the year.
Okay, these are underrated. These are slept on. These are albums that came out and people just...
These are albums that we enjoyed a lot, and it sounded like we didn't hear much.
Exactly, they kind of
We didn't get the reaction that we expected, or we loved it way too much, I guess, because...
They kind of flew under the radar for other people. So what are the nominees for this category?
And some of these were big. I just feel like they weren't talked about as much. Well, first we got Crash Talk.
Okay, by Schoolboy Q.
Schoolboy Q. We have Love Songs for the Streets 2.
Lil Durk.
We have AI Youngboy by Youngboy. Never Broke Again. We have Long Live Mexico by Lil Keed. And then we have Rapper
Go to the League.
By 2 Chainz.
So let's just go over a little bit of every one of these albums. First off, Crash Talk.
Memo added Crash Talk to this list.
I think Crash Talk was honestly one of the better albums of 2019. It like the overall body of work was great. I would say it's one of Schoolboy Q's best projects. I loved it. And I know a point in time we were actually going to start reviewing albums on this channel, and I have got you to listen to it, and you were surprised by it because you ended up really liking it. And one of the things that you had actually told me that I found interesting, that you're like, this is an album that I probably would have skipped entirely if it wasn't for me making you listen to it.
I probably would have only heard Water with Lil Baby, just because Lil Baby's on it, and I'm obsessed with Lil Baby. That probably would have been the only song I heard.
But you enjoyed it, though, right?
What other singles did you have on that album?
He had Num Num Juice, which was a really good song.
It was really good, but you don't hear that song anywhere.
Chopsticks. I mean, yeah, he didn't really have very much radio songs. Like
Water was big, like I feel like on social media for a bit.
Because that little girl that did the dancing did that too.
But, I mean, yes, I listened to the album from beginning to end with Memo, and the album was great. And if I'm being completely honest, it's an album I probably would have never checked out if it wasn't for, you know, me and Memo sitting down and listening to it together. Not saying that I don't like Schoolboy Q or, you know, like, I think it's a flop. It's just, you know, it's not who...
You're not really checking for it.
I'm not checking for Schoolboy Q, which, you know, no disrespect because he's a good rapper, but it's just not my style of rap, I guess. But, you know, I'm glad I did check it out. Do you still bump Crash Talk to this day?
Oh, yeah. It is one of my favorite albums from Schoolboy Q. Like I said, I think it was one of the best albums of 2019. I think more people should have listened to it. If you haven't listened to it, you should go for it. If you're not really a Schoolboy Q fan, I would say check it out. I think there's a lot of good stuff to come from that album. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely check it out. So, what's the next? I'm on the
next
category.
Is one that I added to the list is Love Songs for the Streets 2 by Lil Durk. This album had banger after banger. It had love songs. It had street songs. You know, it had no auto-tune Durk. You know, it was a great album from beginning to end. And it's not like these albums weren't everywhere. It's not like we didn't hear them everywhere. Just like AI Youngboy or Long Live Mexico. Like these
they
albums
just came and went.
These albums, I mean, I still bump them right now, but like these albums, even like Lil Keed's album, which dropped way earlier in the year, these albums were hot. These albums were good. It's just I feel like they don't get as much talk as
Some of the other albums.
Albums on here. So, I had to put Lil Durk on there because I feel like they didn't do my boy justice. He dropped his album the same night that Drake re-released all his older songs onto
Spotify
and Apple Music and all that stuff. So obviously Drake did way bigger numbers than I
was gonna say
Durk did.
Lil Durk would have gotten number one if it wasn't for
Lil
Drake.
Durk was and he tweeted himself. He wasn't mad or anything. He was like, I'm basically gonna award myself number one because Drake doesn't count. Obviously Drake is going to be, on top no matter what. So, I'm not mad. Just know that I would have got that number one spot.
And, I mean, I haven't listened to it all the way, but from what I have heard, because you kind of forced me to listen to it, from what I have heard, it was really good. And it does suck that the album came out the same night as Drake, because I probably would have checked it out if Drake didn't put out those other songs. So...
Mm-hmm. Die Slow with 21 Savage, Weirdo Hoes, Bora Bora... Green Light, the Extravagant, I think it's called, with Nicki Minaj. All the songs were good on there. So, if you haven't checked out that album, please do yourself a favor. Next we got AI Youngboy 2, which was a good ass album.
I'm not gonna lie, I only heard like 2 songs.
Yeah, I don't think you listened to it too much. I still have it on repeat.
The only thing is, I don't remember who exactly came out, but someone dropped the same night that album came out, so I completely...
There was a couple people that dropped the same night. It was like Lil TJ, and, there was like another one. It was, shit, I can't remember. There was like three albums that came out.
Yeah.
But, maybe like Casanova or something. But AI Youngboy was definitely one of the better from those albums. Which we didn't even put Lil TJ on there. Maybe we'll throw him in another category later. But AI Youngboy was definitely, still is one of the hottest albums that I'm listening to right now. And he did make numbers too. So like I said, it's not like when I say underrated, I'm mostly saying like it wasn't album of the year, but it's still up there. So it could have, but. Nah, he's not beating these big names yet. Mm-hmm. Next we'll go with 2 Chainz. Rapper Go to
the League. I thought that was one of 2 Chainz's better albums. I mean, he had features from Ariana Grande on there. He had Young Thug, Travis Scott. He had some bangers on there. He had the single $2 Bill with Lil Wayne and E40. I thought that song was really good. I think that album was pretty much slept on because it kind of just came out and then like a week later, like it just kind of... and I guess...
evaporated, because I
guess, like, you have to be a 2 Chainz fan to kind of check it out. I completely
forgot that 2 Chainz came out with an album until you brought it up right before this.
I would say, unless you were a 2 Chainz fan, I don't think you went out of your way to go check this album out. You know what I'm saying?
Which is sad, because apparently, it's an underrated album. I didn't check it out, so, I'm a hater at 2, so...
Another album that was really underrated that I don't hear that I just thought of was Tyga's album. I really like Tyga's album. He had a lot of good songs.
He made numbers too. He was what, platinum in like the first week or whatever.
Yeah, but no one's talking about it now. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I mean by underrated albums. Like these are albums that came out that people kind of just forgot about. Mm-hmm. Another one that you put on there that you actually put me on was Lil Keed, Long Live Mexico.
Lil Keed, Long Live Mexico, and this is an album that kind of just went away. I mean, his Hood Baby shit is still very popular on TikTok and stuff, and
I love that song.
And TikTok, like, it's corny, blah blah blah, but like that keeps his name relevant. And the album was amazing. From beginning to end, I love it. Especially that last track that he has with Young Thug, and you would never believe it, but that song is from like 2014. Young Thug recorded that in 2014. And that's the energy that it brings me, and they threw it on this album now in 2019, and it's amazing. From beginning to end. And if I had to rate, these albums, which one I think is the best, that one would probably be, second to best, or close up there. But Long Live Mexico definitely deserved more talk than it got. And the cool thing about it is that Keed wasn't a popular, home name until this album, and it opened a lot of people's eyes, and
Okay, but
I'm glad it did.
But only one of these can be named the winner and most underrated album of the year. So what are we gonna go with? What do you think we'll go with?
Well, I'm obviously guessing you're going with Crash Talk.
I think Crash Talk, because like I said, it was like one of the better albums. But I'm biased. I love Schoolboy Q. Like anything Schoolboy Q puts out, I'm gonna stand. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I would love to hear your opinion on what you think.
Like you said earlier, we are basing it off numbers as well. And from the album that I like the most and did the most numbers out of all of these albums would be AI Youngboy. He did bigger numbers than Crash Talk and everything. So I would have to say
the
AI
only reason I wouldn't put it there is just because I personally didn't listen to it, so I can't say yes or no on whether or not, like, you know what I'm saying? Like even Love Letter to the Streets.
I listen to Crash Talk and I listen to AI Youngboy, and I would prefer AI Youngboy over Crash Talk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess we'll give it to NBA Youngboy. I mean, he has a track record of having good songs. You know what I'm saying? Just because I didn't listen to this particular album doesn't mean it's bad. And maybe there's a reason why it's named most underrated, because it was slept on. So, like, you know, I think that it's fitting that this one's gonna go over the other one. So we'll give it to NBA Youngboy. I'm down. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with giving it to him.
All right. So AI Youngboy takes the crown on this one. The next category that we have is letdown of the year.
Oh man, there were some letdowns, boy. There were some fucking letdowns.
There was some highly anticipated albums.
Oh yes,
that were dropping this year, and we just did not feel that much. You know, some of them did completely bad. Some of them just weren't to our expectations.
Oh yeah, especially with the caliber of the artist that they were. You know what I'm saying? Like also the discography. You know, like I won't get into what the names are yet, but like just based on their past work, it's like, all right, like this is what you're giving me.
You expected so much more.
Exactly. So what are the nominees for this one?
Okay, so we'll start it off with For Real by YG.
I put this one on this list. I was really excited for YG's album, and just based on the fact that he dedicated the album to Nipsey Hussle, I was like, dude, this album's gonna bang. You know what I'm saying? Go Loco was on there. You know how obsessed I was with that song at one point.
Memo would listen to Go Loco on repeat
for like a good week. I listened to it like on repeat, nonstop. So I love that song. I expected big things for YG's album, but unfortunately,
you can't base an album off one song.
It's not that. It's just
he had that one. He had Stop Snitching.
I was excited for this album. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, fuck yeah, YG coming out with new music.
I wasn't excited for this one because YG has let me down in the past before. I think he's, you know, he reached his climax a long time ago, his peak a long time ago, and he's only really been going downhill from there. He's still somehow has kept his
still
name,
relevant. He's still relevant.
He still kept his name up there and popular and relevant, but his music does not live up to his expectations. And I will agree with you, it was a letdown, even though I haven't listened to it. But I you know, from Go Loco, which is a good song, but it's not my vibe, and Stop Snitching, I could already tell you that I do not like that album.
So, what's the next one?
The next one on there that hits me real close to home and hurts my heart to say is YNW Melly vs. Melvin album that just recently dropped a couple weeks ago. And before you get it twisted, I am a huge YNW Melly fan and I love this album. But I was expecting so much more. And maybe I need to listen to it, you know, 2 or 3 more times all the way through for me to appreciate it a little bit more, because it was a very good album. But I guess I was just expecting, you know, another big album like his last album or the album before. I was expecting something huge with good singles, and you know, we had that single 223s, which is a banger, and again, it's a fucking TikTok song now, but you know, I was just hoping for so much more, and the album's good. It just, you know, I wish I would have got another track like No Heart or No Holidays, you know, or Mixed Personalities, just something that attracted me and made me love this album. But
the fact that that this album made it on like letdown of the year, for especially coming from you, is because like YMW Melly is part of the reason that we even started a podcast in the beginning, because you just wanted to talk about him. So that's the only reason.
I knew so much about him and the case and everything and the evidence that I had to tell somebody. I didn't know if anybody really cared. I wanted to tell somebody all this knowledge that I knew. And he is one of the reasons that we started this. And I wish I could have put him up there on Album of the Year, underrated album. And I probably still could put him on an underrated album. I just wasn't feeling it much as I thought I would.
The reason I think it's funny because you don't like Trippie Redd, but you said you found yourself listening to Trippie Redd's album, more than YMW Melly's. Mm-hmm. So that's surprising to me too.
I don't know if I listened to it more than YMW Melly's, but I was attracted to Trippie Redd's album off the bat. As soon as I started listening to it, I was like, oh damn, like this is good. And maybe it's because I don't listen to a lot of Trippie Redd. Mm-hmm. So maybe I just didn't know this is what he sounds like. This is what he raps like. This is the stuff he talks about. As soon as I put it on, like from the beginning, like that first skit or whatever, into whatever, like I was attracted to it. And I was like, oh damn, this is actually going. This is pretty good. And I guess it's because I don't listen to him that often that it was new to me. But
just the fact that you listen to that and like that more than YMW Melly's album is surprising to me.
I didn't say I like it more than YMW Melly's. I told you, let me sit down and listen to YMW Melly's, one or two more times all the way through, and I guarantee you I'll come back and give you a completely different answer. I probably would put him under underrated albums of the year. But
as of right now,
from first listen, and maybe I didn't listen to all the songs, or maybe, I skipped all the way through it, or maybe I was a little inebriated when I was listening to it, and I don't remember most of it. But it wasn't what I was hoping for. Apparently, it was just one big murder confession all the way through. It's exactly what someone that has a double murder charge shouldn't be rapping about. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to it.
These next two, though, on this category hurt me.
Next three.
They hurt me.
Oh, these next two in general. Oh,
these next two hurt me because these are albums that I was anticipating from last year, the very beginning of the year. One of them is Rick Ross's Port of Miami 2. And I know you're not the biggest Rick Ross fan, but just based on the fact that Port of Miami 1 was such a big album for Rick Ross, that was his breakthrough album.
I remember last year I had a little phase where I went back and listened to all this old music, and Port of Miami was one of them.
Port of Miami was such a good album.
I was into that dope boy music, that cokehead music. That was one of the albums that I went and fucking listened to.
Port of Miami was such a good album, and just the fact that you were like, this is Port of Miami Part 2, and put it out, and it was disappointing to me, hurt me. If he would have named this anything else, I'd be like, oh, it's a cool album, not the best Rick Ross album, but it's a cool album. But just the fact that you name it Port of Miami 2, a follow-up from your debut album, I just wasn't feeling it. I'm sorry, I can't. He had one or two good. He had the Maybach Music 6 or whatever it was with John Legend and Lil Wayne. That was really good, but honestly, John Legend and Lil Wayne are the only reason I like the song. He had the other song with Drake. I can't even tell you the name.
So was it his verses? Was it the...
It was boring.
The whole project?
It was boring. I love Rick Ross, but that shit was boring. I was not into it at all. There was no good singles. I didn't like it. And the other one, this one also hurts me because I love this guy. I would put this guy in my top 10.
Now, before you say his name, why did you think this album was so bad? Because even I listened to it and I was like, damn, this is a little hard.
Okay, now let me, I'll get into that. Okay, so this artist right here, I could say he's in my top 10. Maybe close to my top 5, if anything. I loved Young Jeezy. You know how much I ride for Young Jeezy. I always try to blast him in the car and you're like, no. I love Young Jeezy. And just the fact that he put out Thug Motivation 104 and this is his final album, his retirement album, I was like, come on, bro, you're going to go out like that? No. I was not. That's the only reason I put this as letdown. Because if you're telling me this is my retirement, I'm not making any more music after this, and this is what you give me before you go out, I'm just not feeling it.
So it wasn't so much bad as it was just...
It was a letdown.
It was like
it was just literally a letdown.
It's like
it was literally a letdown, yeah. And I can't tell you...
But Rick Ross's was just straight up bad.
The Rick Ross's was bad, yeah. Young Jeezy, he had that one song with Meek, MLK Boulevard, really good. And he had that one song with Ty Dolla $ign where they sampled Hotline Bling, or not Hotline Bling, Hotline, the one with Pretty Ricky. I don't remember the song, but those are the only two standout tracks from that album. And for me personally, like, I love Young Jeezy, but just the fact that this is like his final album, and rappers say that all the time. They're like, I'm gonna retire, and then they don't retire. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that it's his quote unquote last album, and it was a letdown for me. So that for me was a letdown album. So, and who's the last one in the category?
The last one is a big popular radio mainstream artist that everyone was probably expecting to have album of the year. Chance the Rapper.
Oh yes, all right. I forgot we put him on there.
And what was his album called? What was the name?
The Big Day or the Big something. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I told you to put this on the list because Chance the Rapper, when he dropped Coloring Book, he was like one of the biggest artists. You know what I'm saying? He killed it on features. He was doing all this stuff, and he dropped this album, and it was like kind of just like.
And it still did numbers, of course, because it's Chance the Rapper. But he became more of a meme instead of a legend through this album. Like, people started clowning him. You know, all he talks about his wife and riding a bicycle through the park and, you know, blah, blah, blah. How much
Why
he
is that
loves
so
his
bad,
wife.
though? Like, that's what he's doing. Like, who cares? Like,
what?
then, like, who cares if he's talking about his wife? Like, that's fine. Like,
yeah, but that's why this album was a letdown, because it was trash. Nobody wants to hear about how much you love your wife and riding bikes in the park with her. What does Chance even rap about? What does Chance rap about in the first place? I haven't listened to him since Acid Rap, so I don't know.
I listened to Coloring Book, but
what was Coloring Book about?
I can't tell you.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, just the fact that in like 2017, I think it was, he was like the biggest artist out, and this was an anticipated album too. So, and it was a letdown. That's why it makes the list.
And this man is on Rhythm and Flow, choosing the next big artist. This is who you have. Get the fuck out of here. Him, Cardi B, and T.I.
So are we giving it
3 washed up fucking rappers.
Are we giving it to Chance? Is Chance going to be the most disappointing?
Well, I was about to get into that. On paper, Chance would probably look like, you know, the biggest bet for who should win that. But this is also our opinion at the same time. And I didn't listen to Chance's album at all.
I skimmed through it. But just the fact that it was nothing I wanted to go back to, we'll put it that way.
I definitely don't want to say YNW Melly's was the biggest letdown, so I'm okay. I'm completely fine with giving it a Chance to Rap.
I also kind of feel like I got to give it to YG, though, just because even though you didn't listen to it, like, I was so hyped for that album, too. Like, I was excited for it.
I would not be mad giving it to YG, because I knew he'd flop.
But then again,
he tried to use Tekashi 6ix9ine's picture on all his tours, you know, just for publicity, and he still did not do numbers.
But also, just based on, like, the name power of Rick Ross and Young Jeezy, too, that makes me want to give it to one of them, too. So, what do you think? This is decision time.
Decision time?
It's good for me. It would probably be between YG, Ross, or Jeezy. If we were gonna eliminate them,
I wouldn't say Jeezy because I listened to the album. I actually enjoyed it a little bit.
Like I said, it's not a bad album. It's just the fact that that's his last album is like, come on, like.
Okay, so who were you expecting better music from, YG or Ross?
YG.
Really?
Yeah, I was expecting more from YG. Like I said, Rick Ross is just like the name, like the fact that he named it Port of Miami too. It was like kind of like it was. You were bound.
You were expecting a bad album from Ross.
You were bound.
Okay,
to fail.
We'll give it to YG on that one.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with YG. But like I said, it's just the fact that if it's a sequel to your album that was really good, like you would think you would go above and beyond. Like I said, if it was named anything else, I think it would have been fine. But I think definitely YG. And just the fact, like I said, he dedicated this album to Nipsey Hussle. I was really excited leading, like with the singles coming up. Like I was really excited for it. And it was just a big letdown. So I think YG's going to get this one. Definitely letdown of the year for me.
Alright, so the next category is collab of the year.
Okay, these are collabs. Who do we have?
So we have Hot Girl Anthem by Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, Ty Dolla Signs. We have Hot, Young Thug and Gunna and Travis Scott. We have
Post Malone, Ozzy Osbourne, and Travis Scott. Take What You Want From Me.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a few other ones that we could put on here. But those are the only ones we have on paper.
Those are the three that like most stand out to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were.
If I had to eliminate one off the bat, I would say Post Malone's, because I didn't hear about it, and it definitely did not have as much buzz as the other two songs.
I loved the Post Malone song.
If I had to rate them, I would say Hot Girl, Post.
I loved the Post song, and I showed it to you for the first time yesterday, and I loved it, but compared to the other two songs on here, it didn't have that much of an impact. Like I said, Ozzy Osbourne is a legend. The guitar solo at the end is great, but compared to the Young Thug song and the Megan Thee Stallion song, I don't think it compares to the other two. It is good to see it on here, because I think it does deserve to be at least brought up. But you're right. I think if we were gonna take out one, it would be that one, and then
it was a cool song. It was a cool song, but I think even Hot Girl Anthem didn't do as well as
I thought that song was
would.
very disappointing.
It was super disappointing. But I mean,
the buzz around it leading up to the song was bigger than the actual song when it came out. So this is a no-brainer for me. Honestly.
I would definitely give it to Hot.
It's gonna be Hot by Young Thug, Travis Scott, and Gunna. Like, that song is still like major replay value. It's one of the best songs, if not the best song, on Young Thug's album. So I think collab of the year. It's perfect for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So next we have Artist of the Year.
Okay. Who do we have?
On here we have similar names. We have Young Thug, Post Malone, and DaBaby.
Okay.
I feel like we could add a couple different names on here.
Just based on like buzz alone, though, those are the three that come to mind. There's more. There's more people. There's
people like Megan Thee Stallion. There's people like for Artist of the Year. There's people like Megan Thee Stallion. There's people like what's his name, Lil Nas X.
Yeah, Lil Nas X could have been put on there, but other than Old Town Road and that one other song he has with DaBaby, I don't think he can really be named Artist of the Year. So let's just go with these three. For me, it's gonna be Post Malone, either Post Malone or DaBaby.
I was about to say the same. I think it would be DaBaby, and if not, probably Post Malone.
And just the fact that Post Malone won Album of the Year from the AMAs. I loved Hollywood's Bleeding. I thought it was a great album. And just the fact that he performed at the AT&T Stadium this year, like with his second year of the Posty Fest, like the album was really good.
I don't think anyone's had a better year than DaBaby. Especially how he came up so quick and took over the rap game.
That's what I was gonna say.
He's getting $100,000 for a feature. His first year of not first year of rapping, but it's like he just blew up.
Yeah, I was gonna say
this year.
I was gonna say if it wasn't gonna be Post Malone, the baby would be right there, like right there, neck and neck, because he dropped a lot of songs this year and they were all bangers. He's on the radio constantly. He's on features.
Like he went straight from Baby on Baby with Suge, destroying the charts and being. It was so overplayed that you had to like it anyway because you couldn't get around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad song. And he went straight into, why are you getting... Because Baby on Baby came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they were... he gave us Kirk as well. And they were like, oh, well, why are you giving us an album so soon? Like, why don't you let us enjoy this album? He said, I'm fucking tired of playing Suge. I'm tired of getting asked to play Suge everywhere I go.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I have more songs. He's like, let me give you more material. And he dropped Kirk and hit #1. You know what I'm saying? Like, not many people could do that their first blow-up year.
Yeah.
He was signed this year. He had the big deal. He had the #1 song. He dropped the #1 album.
How much is this actually like factual, and how much is this you just like I said that he was gonna be #1? He's the best album.
No, it's factual. He came out with Baby on Baby this year.
No, I
got
understand.
signed.
But I'm saying, are you saying DaBaby because you believe he's the number one artist, or because you picked that he would be the next
No,
one?
I'm saying this because I believe. Because at the same time, Kirk is number one in the charts, and I haven't heard more than like 3 or 4 songs on that album.
Okay.
I've heard maybe 3 songs. And that, I tend to do that a lot. I get obsessed with an artist, and as soon as he becomes huge, if I'm not in love with the album off the rip, then I, completely ignore it and don't really listen to it.
Okay, well, either way, I just like to argue with you, but yeah, I agree. DaBaby definitely had the more success out of everyone on this list. I would say Post Malone is a close second.
Post Malone is gonna have success no matter what. He already has that built fan base, so he was bound to hit the charts and be number one.
But just based on what you said, it was DaBaby's first year and all the accomplishments.
But let's not knock out, even though he's not winning, let's not knock out Young Thug's the year that Young Thug had. We just gave Hot the number one collab of the year. He's on Post Malone's album as well, which one of the better songs on his album from what I've heard.
I'm gonna say.
I'm not saying he's artist of the year. I'm just saying we can't. I mean, we completely skipped over him. Like,
I'm gonna say
he had a great year as well. He finally had his first charting album and everything. Just because I'm a fanboy, I had to throw that out there. And
I will keep my mouth shut about Young Thug until we get on to a later category. So
okay,
we're gonna go with DaBaby on this one.
We're giving it to Baby. All right, so next we got Song of the Year.
Okay.
Which the categories are Act Up by City Girls. We have Hot Again by Young Thug and Gunna. Now with Travis Scott as well. Old Town Road by Lil Nas X. Bop by DaBaby. And Hot Girl Summer.
This one's an easy one, then. It's going to be Old Town Road. Old Town Road definitely had, stayed on the chart for however long. The little kids played it. It was a meme at one point.
That's the reason it was so big.
Because
of the memes and because of, is Twitter and TikTok and whatever, that's what blew it up. That's what made it so famous, and that's why it's so famous. You don't see people our age listening to that song no more. You'll only see little kids. I was waiting on a table one day. I was waiting on the table, and they literally, for their kid to be quiet, they put the phone right in front of them, and they listened to Old Town Road. I swear to God.
I don't know, man. I think
that's what his fan base is now. And that and the whole LGBT whatever community. But I just think that, Song of the Year, obviously that song was huge, and that's what kept him relevant. But I think Act Up had a good run. That was probably the summer banger.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that song is what created this new wave for hot girls. You know what I'm saying? Hot as well. That was the number one song in the world for a long time.
But none of these songs,
Bop
I think,
is a big song right now.
I don't think any of these songs are bigger than Old Town Road.
On paper, yeah.
I don't think they are. Even Hot, I can't give it collab of the year and song of the year. I can't do it.
You can.
No.
You can.
I think Old Town Road is winning, and deep down you're right. I'm right.
No, we'll give it to Old Town Road. Like I said, on paper, I think Old Town Road is the biggest, but I don't think it deserves, I guess, song of the year, because the only reason it was so big is because it was a joke. Mm. He's not a country artist. He dropped a country song.
I think
he,
just based on he dropped 15 remixes.
And I'm not trying to,
song,
I'm not trying to hate on him or nothing. That's the reason he just overplayed the song.
We'll put it this way:
he milked it so much.
Exactly. Yes. That's. But like I said, I can't deny the song was probably the biggest song of the year. When we look back on 2019, it's gonna be the year of Old Town Road. Honestly, so we're gonna give it to Lil Nas X on that one.
Yeah. Okay, so number 6. This doesn't really have to do with any albums or anything. We're just thinking about who's next. Who's the breakout star for 2020?
For me, I've talked to you about it before. I think it's gonna be Lil Baby. I think when Baby and Gunna came up together, I didn't expect Gunna to be the bigger artist out of the two, and I think Lil Baby 2020 is gonna be the year of him. like just based on his most recent single, and then just based on some of the snippets and the hype around his album that's coming out, I think 2020 is gonna have big things for Lil Baby.
And I mean, I thought, Harder Than Ever, dropped in 2018, was, the big album of the year. Like, that was my favorite album. And I still play that whole album from beginning to end. So I wouldn't consider him as a upcoming, like, the next big rapper, because I already consider him a huge rapper. He's already has millions off rap.
But we're talking about, like, 2020. Who do we think is gonna, like... Who do we think is
who's
gonna
taking over?
Yeah, I think it'll be Lil Baby.
I'll give it to Lil Baby too. I also put Rod Wave on there, because he's surprisingly, like, he is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper right now. Like, this is who people are listening to. I've seen so many tweets and so many people posting him. If you haven't checked him out, definitely have to. But out of those two, I guess I'd give it to Lil Baby too, because I am, his album is going to do big charts. And Whoa was such a good song.
I think just based on the fact that I can't think of anyone right off the bat, Lil Baby's the first thing that comes to mind. I think...
It's just so crazy that you say he's next when I've been listening to him.
I don't mean he's next to blow up. I just mean 2020 is the year.
When I think of next,
Lil Baby
I think of
over.
next to blow up. That's why I said Rod Wave. But yeah, I mean, next, who's taking over next year?
Or who to look out for next year would be Lil Baby. I think Lil Baby's gonna have a great 2020. So.
All right, we'll give it to Lil Baby on that one. Even though there wasn't much.
There wasn't anyone to talk. This is just kind of like, who do we think is gonna?
Yeah. All right, so we got album of the year next.
Okay. So this
is basically the final. This is the final award. We have So Much Fun by Young Thug. We have Oasis by Bad Bunny and
J Balvin.
We have Kirk by DaBaby. Igor by Tyler, the Creator. And I threw in Dirk and Youngboy again because I honestly think
you can't have them underrated and best rappers, man. Come on.
I think they're underrated because they had the best album and no one's talking about them. But yeah,
come on, man.
Definitely. I want to argue for them so bad, but I know that they don't have album of the year, so we'll throw that out the window. We have Thug, we have Bad Bunny and J Balvin, Schoolboy Q's. Oh wait, you wanted to throw Schoolboy Q's name in there too. I forgot about that. We have to, honorable mention, but we're throwing them out. We have Thug, Bad Bunny, J Balvin, DaBaby, and Tyler, the Creator.
Okay, so real quick, I'll get Oasis out of the way. I love that album. It was a really good album. If you listen to Spanish music, that was definitely on repeat. I still listen to that album on repeat. Every song on there is a banger. Replay value, everything about it is great. The only reason that keeps it from being album of the year is
it's not really this category, this,
This is just personal favorites, I would say. But it is rap, it's trap rap or Spanish rap, but it's compared to the other names on here, I don't think it fits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would love to give it to J Balvin and Bad Bunny, but I can't do it. As much as I love that album, that to me, that's my personal favorite album of the year. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's winning in this category.
My personal album of the year is So Much Fun by Young Thug.
I have a lot to say about this album, but we'll what are the other two albums again?
Kirk and Igor.
Okay, well, first off, Kirk, it was alright. It was kind of like one of those things where I listened to it and then I was done with it. It's not like, it's not like I wasn't obsessed with it like most people were.
What about albums like Champions and all these other?
Well, Champions came out in 2018. It just came out. It just came out in December.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
So, but if I'm choosing out of these albums, it's gonna be Igor for me. I think that's one of Tyler, the Creator's best albums. It did big, the tour, everything about that album was great. I think lyrically, music-wise, everything about it, I think it's great. I think it's Tyler's best project. So for me,
the only reason I would give it to him It's because they had fucking Drake run off the stage. Other than that, I did not listen to Igor. I mean, I did hear it was good. He had that, Earthquake with Playboy Cardi, which was huge. But yeah, I never checked it out, sadly. I can't talk much about it, but I know it was huge. But so was Kirk.
Well, if I'm comparing Kirk to Tyler, it's gonna be Tyler.
All right, well now Tyler and Thug.
Okay, so this is what I was gonna get into. I did not think So Much Fun is album of the year. And we've talked about it before on this same podcast, bro. I love Young Thug, but So Much Fun was not it for me. I expected so much more from this album. I thought, based on his past works like Barter 6, Slime Season, I'm Up, Beautiful Thug Girls, Jeffrey, all these albums are amazing, only for you to give me So Much Fun, and I personally did not like it. Personally did not like it compared to these other. There was too many skippable songs on there for me. I don't
Real
know.
Thugger fans love this album as much as the others.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, to me, this isn't album of the year. I mean, I would love to hear why you think it's album of the year, but I don't think it's album of the year.
So, this is around the time that we paused this and I beat Memo's ass. No, it's just, I mean, obviously, if I had to compare these two, I would say Young Thug's album. One of my, if not favorite rappers, finally hit number 1 on the charts. He had banger after banger, and he had, one of the number 1 songs in the world off this album. It was like, I every time Thug drops an album, I hope it goes number 1. And it never does. And then we finally had an album that did hit number 1. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it on Twitter, on Instagram. It was everywhere. So I do think if it's not album of the year, I'm glad that, it's right next to, it's like runner up.
I mean, I love Young Thug, but like I said, compared to his past work, I like, harmonizing Thug. I like Young Thug that can sing and rap. I like that Young Thug. And this one was just straight rap Young Thug, and I just wasn't a fan of it compared to his other work, man. Come on. Even you said yourself Beautiful Thug Girls is better, did you not?
Yeah, but that's my favorite album in the world. So, I'm
just saying, it's got... If I'm saying his past work is better, I can't feel good about giving him album of the year if I don't think this album is better than his past work. That's all I'm saying.
If you ever hear this, Young Thug, I was fighting for you. All right, so we're gonna give it to Igor, Tyler the Creator.
Yes, I think Tyler the Creator deserves it. He's Grammy nominated. I personally think he'll probably walk away with the Grammy. So I don't know. I think Igor album of the year for sure. At least compared to these albums. I'm sure there's albums that we missed that people are going to be like, bro, what the hell? You didn't put on Revenge of the Nerds 3 or whatever. Like, no. This is just this is our opinions, man, okay? I'm sorry. But, and if I'm being honest, I think Bad Bunny and J Balvin should have won album of the year. But, this is just how it is. Tyler the Creator is going to get number 1 album of the year.
I guess Igor will take it.
Yeah, so... I think, before we move on to our final debate, let's go over some albums that we think are going to be most anticipated. Like, what are you most looking forward to in 2020? I know there's a lot of people that are supposed to drop that didn't drop this year that are supposedly dropping next year. So, who are some of the people you are most looking forward to dropping next year?
I don't know if this album is coming out next year. I want to say it comes out actually this month, December. But we have Bad Vibes Forever coming out.
Oh, yeah, by... No,
XXX.
That's this month, yeah. That might be this Friday, actually, now that I think
about really? It. But still, definitely an anticipated album. Hasn't come out yet, so I'm going to throw that in there.
As far as, this recording, it hasn't come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, I mean, there's a lot of people coming out next year. Like, The Weeknd, if he hasn't already dropped, The Weeknd is coming out. Meek is supposed to drop. We're going to get some new Drake. We're going to get some new Kendrick.
I think that the answer, we answered it earlier with the Lil Baby.
Yeah, Lil Baby.
We say he's taking over next year, so I don't see how he won't have the most anticipated album of the year.
Yep.
But obviously, people like Drake, Meek, those people are automatically gonna do numbers. The Weeknd, Party Next Door.
Party Next Door comes out in January. Yeah. There's a lot of people coming out next year that I'm really looking forward to. I have
Hopefully, Chance and YG don't drop anything.
I have big expectations for 2020, man. 2019 was such ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have big expectations for 2020. I think 2020 is gonna be a
I'm
year,
sure Young Thug will drop another album. I'm sure,
and it will be better than So Much Fun.
I mean, yeah, hopefully.
So yeah, there's a lot of albums coming out, man. Oh, J. Cole's supposed to come out. Like, I'm excited for the fall off. So there's
This isn't really like who has the most anticipated albums.
This is just who we think.
Like, yeah, like
who we think are going to be anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Bunny's coming out. You don't listen to that much Spanish,
it's gonna be hard.
But he's going to drop some shit. So.
I don't understand most of it, but I like it.
So yeah, like I said, I have big expectations for
What is your most anticipated album coming out? What are you most looking forward to?
Well, it's not confirmed, but Wayne was supposed to drop this year, but he didn't drop, so I'm assuming it'll be
what
next
was it called?
year.
Funeral or something?
Funeral. Oh, you know what? No, Miguel. I am really looking forward to some Miguel music. I could really use some fucking mood music, you know what I'm saying? So Miguel, The Weeknd, Drake, of course, Kendrick. You know, Kendrick's been super quiet, so you know he's probably coming next year. So they're, like I said,
probably been cooking.
Those are probably some of the people that I'm most looking forward to coming out. So.
All right, yeah.
All right, before we end this podcast off, we have one last debate for you guys for the year, and we're going to talk about who is the artist of the decade. So from 2009 to 2019, who is the biggest artist, who is the best artist, whatever you want to call it. I already know mine because
I already know what you're going to say.
He is already named artist of the decade by some magazine. I forgot what it was. So I think Drake. And I'll get to my reasonings here in a little bit. But do you have anyone that could be potentially knock off Senor Aubrey off the decade list?
Yeah. Lil Durk. Young
up.
Boy. YNW Melly.
Bro, come
Lil
on.
Baby Gunna. But the biggest artist of the decade is Young Thug. Or even Gucci Mane.
What? Why? Didn't Gucci Mane just get out of jail in like 2017?
Gucci Mane has been dropping consistent music.
But he's not artist
Think
of the
about
decade.
it.
No.
He is one of the most popular names.
He is not artist of the decade. No way. I mean, if you at least say someone like J. Cole or Kendrick.
It.
I'll even take Big Sean over Gucci Mane.
What? What? Nobody's checking for Big Sean. Get the fuck out of here. Alright.
You could have said The Weeknd. You could have said so many people over Gucci Mane that could have actually gone toe to toe with Drake.
No, I mean, I don't really have anybody that can compare, I guess, to Drake. And that's from someone that doesn't listen or like Drake. I know what he's done. And
Drake has been on top. Yeah, Drake has been on top since like 2010, 2011 at most. He's been on top, and most rappers' career lifespans are like 6-7 years. And just
I just saw that. What was it called? What's it called? Thanks so far.
Thank Me Later.
Thank Me Later has just reached its 6th year.
Oh no! That's Nothing Was the Same. Nothing Was the Same has been on the charts for 6 years, yo. When Young Thug can do that, come tell me.
Stop it,
bro. And that album, I'm not gonna lie. I think Nothing Was the Same was probably Drake's best work. I know I love Take Care, but if I'm being completely honest, it's basically a Weeknd album with just Drake rapping over the beats. I think Nothing Was the Same. It deserves to be, however, 6 years on the Billboard because it is that good of an album. I think that's, and I think Drake deserves to be Artist of the Decade. I do not see Drake falling off anytime soon. I think Drake still has like at least another 5 years left in him.
Hopefully he falls off soon. He needs to give other people a chance. Just like I said with the Lil Durk that dropped the same day, like Lil Durk deserved that, but just because of Drake's name, it surpassed him almost double the amount in sales.
If you were a real Drake fan, you already had those songs on your phone or your iTunes or whatever. like me.
Most people did. They just weren't listening to him anymore, and then he dropped all these old songs. They're like, oh my god, let me just listen to him 1,000 times
He did
all
the
over
same.
again.
He did the same thing with what's that one album? So Far Gone. He re-released it on streaming platforms.
What about? Oh no, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I'm saying he re-released it on streaming platforms, and even though you could go on Dat Piff and listen to it for free,
What album?
So Far Gone.
Oh,
You could,
yeah, he did.
You could go. You could listen to it on Dat Piff for free. I'm sure you. A lot of people, if you were a real Drake fan, you already had the CD burnt in your room somewhere. Like, I mean, and then he put it on iTunes, and it went #1, I believe. So like, there's just the power of Drizzy Drake, man.
What about Kanye West? We didn't mention him at all.
Oh shit! All right.
Any of this?
Well, all right.
I don't listen to Kanye West or Drake, but since you want to debate,
All right. That's a good one. All right.
I'm hitting you with Kanye West as artist of the decade.
All right. We could see we had the millions of Kanye rants and meltdowns. I think you ain't got the answer, Sway. happened in the last 10 years, I believe. So, damn, that's a good one. I mean, he had My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasies. He had Yeezus. He had Watch the Throne with him and Jay-Z.
What was that album he just came out with?
Jesus is King or whatever.
Yeah, we didn't even throw that in any of these categories.
I mean, I'm not gonna, you know.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that one takes the crown for letdown of the year.
You
Trash.
You didn't even listen to it.
Of course I didn't. I overheard Memo listening to one song. One song, and I thought it was a parody song. I'm sitting there on my phone, and I overhear Memo listening to it. It says, I'm ordering Chick-fil-A, #1 with lemonade. And I was like, Memo, what the fuck are you listening to? Oh, this is a new Kanye West. Turn that shit off, boy. Now. Who the fuck? In the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, my #1 with my lemonade. I said, boy, ain't nobody get the fuck.
Wait,
I even tweeted about it immediately. I was like, boy, get that shit out of here. I thought it was a parody song.
Aren't you supposed to be like debating that Kanye West was the biggest artist of the decade, and now you're like,
I am debating it.
Now you're turning on him.
I'm not turning on him. I'm just saying. I thought it was a parody song.
I mean, honestly, with the whole Yeezus like the Yeezys and all this, Kanye West could very easily give Drake a run for his money. You know what I'm saying? He really could.
He didn't win it though.
No, because Kanye is.
He was probably salty about it too.
Kanye is more.
I could already see him going on a rant on Twitter talking about how he's not the artist of the decade.
I mean, bro, Kanye is. I think
he's like, I'm not an artist. I'm a revolutionary. Blah blah blah.
Kanye has definitely become a parody of himself. You know what I'm saying? Like the old Kanye that I grew up on is no longer alive. Now he's like only gonna do gospel music. He said that when he goes on tour, he's not performing any of his old music.
We'll see how long
this might be like a whole Snoop Lion thing where he's just like, it's a phase, but
we'll see how long that lasts. I don't think it'll last for very long. I think he did it. He got the numbers he deserves, or got the numbers he was looking for, and he's gonna jump on to the very next thing right after.
You know what? The more and more I think about it, I do think Kanye could give Drake a run for his money, but Kanye West does not have an album 6 years on the Hot 100, so I'm sticking with my boy Aubrey.
All right, I guess we're gonna have to give it to Aubrey.
What?
Aubrey. I just don't want to give it to a person named Aubrey. Like, I have many girlfriends named Aubrey. Like, I could call them right now and they'll answer the phone. Their name is Aubrey.
I have a couple friends named Aubrey too.
Name one guy you know named Aubrey.
Well, Drake, obviously. But nah, Drake, artist of the decade.
That's why he's so soft. I blame his parents.
Oh, come on.
How you gonna name a nigga Aubrey? Expect him to be a gangster. Get the fuck out of here.
Alright, man. Well, before we get out of here, I just want to say thank everybody. We'll do a quick cheers, a quick toast. I want to thank everybody for the past, however many months we've been doing this. We've done a great 19, 20 episodes, and I hope that in 2019 we can continue to do this because it is a great way to just escape and just talk about music and bond. You know what I'm saying? And whether 5 people listen to it or 500 people listen to it. I love doing this. So, Jose, you have anything to say before we wrap up?
Yes. Young Thug for president. Young Thug for album of the year. Young Thug for artist of the year. Young Thug for collab of the year. Young Thug for underrated album. And who's next? Lil Baby. That's all I have to say. Free TK. Free the real ones.
We didn't even mention Kodak Black on this list.
Free Kodak Black. You know, I was thinking that. What was it, the category? I think it was anticipated albums. I wanted to say, I hope Kodak drops something from jail. You know.
Oh, you know what? Anticipated albums? Tekashi 6ix9ine, your favorite rapper. You know he's going to be coming out in 2020, dropping some flames.
Not my favorite rapper. Stop it right now. If y'all niggas could cheer for T.I., I could cheer. I'm not cheering for Tekashi. But I'm saying, if I was, y'all could not be mad at me. Because there's people out there like T.I. that testified against these other niggas that killed his nigga. Like, don't get me into this. Is for another podcast, right? But I am not a Tekashi fan, at least not anymore.
I am very curious.
He is definitely going to be dropping some music.
I am curious.
He is actually getting out very, very soon. Might be the beginning of 2020. So he supposedly already has that big record deal. So yes, there's a big possibility that he's dropping a new album.
And I will be there to listen to it, just to see if he screams Treyway at any point in time.
I don't think he's allowed to anymore. I don't think he's allowed to. But all right, guys. I guess that.
Yeah, that will wrap it up. That
wraps up 2019.
I mean, we might surprise y'all with another episode before the year's out, but to be honest, the way we've been lately, we're slacking. So it might not be till 2020 when we come back. But it has been a great year. We had a lot of ups and downs this year. We had people dying over chicken sandwiches. We had memes upon memes. You know what I'm saying? We had all this stuff, and I expect bigger and better things in 2020.
If only this was like bigger than a rap podcast, we could talk about like what is the biggest meme of 2019, you know, like that's what would get the clicks, you know.
It's that fucking cat, bro, and that lady screaming at each other.
That is a good fucking meme right there.
All right, y'all. We will see y'all in 2020, man. The Memo Podcast. Thank you, guys.
Deuces.